What's up, guys? Jessica I here with How I See It and my wonderful co-host, Darren Branch. Welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me for episode 2.
Very excited about it. Obviously, we released it this week, and now people officially know, and we put it out there, and we're just ready to go full force on, you know, just giving our opinions on everything, but also showing them like a glimpse of our life.
I mean, how much are you going to let people in? Like, are you going to...
I think it's going to be a growing thing, though.
Are you prepared to just release the emergency brake and go full in?
I mean, we're already there. I mean, professionally fighting, for many years now. I mean, everybody has all these assumptions about my life anyways. Why not set the record straight, right? Like, by having a podcast, like, now you get to see all of my life. You can be a part of everything, and you could stop making assumptions about me, and I can kind of use my own microphone the right way.
So you're going to tell your story. If they're going to tell a story, it might as well be your story, right? Like, instead of something random. Look at your head.
Yeah, I know. It's looking
Look
great.
At you.
I'm doing great. I did when you guys said my hair looked nice. I'm trying to be a better girl, you know. It doesn't come easy for me. So I did my hair today.
You got your hair did.
But my forehead's healing so well. You know, like last week we weren't supposed to get any of the stitches out until this Tuesday, my birthday, July 27th. And we ended up getting them removed on the 19th because my forehead started to get a little bit infected. Like, it started to reject the stitches. I think I actually sent some video and so everyone can see.
This is what it's starting to look like. It's getting more puffy and red. It does not
every day
hurt, but it's time. I would really like them out.
I said that to the doctors and my manager, and I was like, all right, it's time. Like, I've never had stitches this much in like my forehead. Like, we've had them in my lip from like fights when we've been through it, but like for it to look like that, I was like, all right, something's not right.
And so once the stitches were out, right, the infection went away right away?
I'm just the redness. I don't even know that there was a crazy infection. But I have some updated pictures. I think I took them for everybody. And like, there was one updated picture that was like still super red, that like after the like video I took, and see like how it's super
angry.
red, and like you can see those 3 spots are like where they made the big cut closed, and then there was a bunch of small sutures that they used to really, like, you know, minimize the scarring across my forehead. So and then here we are today, you know, when we were supposed to wait till tomorrow, but now we finally have that last updated picture, which looks really, really great. And I'm really, really happy with it. And it's exciting because they even told me that because of where the cut is, it's so great across like the front of your face that it almost is like a wrinkle line.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So, you know, we're going through it. We'll figure out as it goes on. You know, obviously I don't care about scarring when it comes to fighting. Like, I knew what was going to happen, you know, so I always say that. Like, I've had other scars, like my eyes, I always look a little tired outside of you know, burning down a little bit. You know, I always look a little tired. So it's starting to go away.
Yeah, a girl's been through some things. There's going to be some scars involved.
Right?
There's going to be some scars involved.
It's called Botox. I asked them.
The fact that it really is completely horizontal, not only did it put over the fact that your third eye was emerging.
Yes.
Right, and give you a whole lane of psychedelic jokes to get into. But also, it will, over time, it's easier to hide something that's going to be in the same line as a natural wrinkle.
My chakra's open. So yeah, doing all kinds of stuff. And I feel like that's where it comes from. Like, right now, like I have some other things planned in my life. And I think that's kind of where we come out into like this past weekend, UFC, it was another fight night. It was TJ Dillashaw's return.
Yes.
And wow, what a card. You know what I mean? Like, I'm usually a little bit like critical after I'd fight. Like, I try not to watch some of the UFCs. Like, it's like, all right, I just spent so many weeks training in a training camp, doing so many things. Like, I want to be present in my friends' lives and like go hang out with them. Like, not feel like every single time I'm trying to shove fighting. Contrary to what everybody might think, fighting is not all of my life, and it's not all of my friends' lives either. You know, sometimes they're like, hey, dude, can we have a break from it? Like, we need a break from talking about it and, you know, like you being tired all the time from, you know, training and stuff. So,
and that being said, but what were we all doing on Saturday? On Saturday, we start texting each other about the UFC because we're all watching the UFC in separate locations.
Right.
So, like, even though, oh, it's not my life, it's like, yeah, but it is, though. Like, at the same time, it is. So, like, it doesn't have to be the absolute center, be all, end all of life.
Yeah.
But it's that thing that we all have in common. And like, as soon as the fights were on, I was thinking before your cut had a chance to close, I was like, one of these two women on this card tonight are going to say my friend's name. And the reason I thought that was because there may be a history of online chatter between you and one lady whose name I'm not even going to mention.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to mention her name. Or like the kind of dumpsters that we associate with her. I'm not going to mention this, right? But then there was another lady who was fighting on the main card, a woman by the name of Macy Barber. And Macy won her fight on the judges' scorecards.
How did Macy actually get in the UFC?
That's a good question.
Series? Was it Contender Series? And honest to God, sometimes I'm just so caught up in my own life. Like, it has nothing to do with me. Like, if I'm not a super big fan of you, like, I don't know your story. And just like anybody, like, the podcast is for the super Just Guy fans and for the new people who want to learn about me and my normal life and in my fight life. So, like, that being said, like, I think it was Contender Series, right? Like,
I think she may have gotten into the UFC shortly before the Contender Series existed. Like through the regular means of like, I had a good showing at a small show and I've got a good story and maybe I'll be the youngest champion. That's the story that Macy at least puts out there. I don't know if she believes that herself or not, but to call yourself the future is your nickname, right? Well, how we can push the future into a distant future.
But wasn't that Ronda's thing before that? Like, wasn't it Ronda's thing was a thing, right? What was hers? Like,
I couldn't tell you.
Reason.
Oh yeah,
the reason.
that was her
That
thing?
was like the hashtag behind it. What are you talking about, Mike? Our photographer, Lazy the Savage. That's what he helped her like create that hashtag behind like her video series and all that. So I think that it's a play off that. So like back play of women's MMA. So I think it might be. So
her path to the future, she sees going through you.
I know.
And she chose to say that on national television. And so what she said, I think we do have a clip.
Yeah, we do.
We can play that clip for the audience.
Alpha male.
Every time I cut weight, I think of two things and what I want to say. And Jessica is number 8. So I would like that fight. You know, she just fought a tough fight, and she's coming off a loss. I would like to come and get a win over Jessica I and take that number 8 spot.
You call out winners. You call out winners. That's what you do. You call out winners. You know what I mean? Like, so like we had addressed like, you know, some of the things, you know, in our first podcast, you know, and had talked about the judging issues and had talked about some of the things that had happened. And again, that is one of those fights. That was one of those fights where Maverick won that fight. And I don't know if anybody had watched that fight and actually seen it and seen where that come from. You know, Miranda won that fight, and I hate that for her because I felt very empathetic because that's the same thing that happened to me, and those same judges were judging that night.
Yes, I did notice that. The same judges that judged your fight, in my opinion as well, improperly, that gave it 29-28 in the wrong direction.
Not even just in my fight either. It was other fights.
Yeah, this is a thing that's been happening a lot recently.
Right.
A lot of the decisions have been wonky.
Listen, I'm getting all worked up. I'm going to eat an edible right now.
And the UFC hasn't adjusted in any way. And the thing about it is, it's difficult.
Well, that's why I
for
tweeted
them
that.
to
I did. I
adjust.
tweeted that on purpose. I said that, and I was like, I was literally like, UFC, you have to do that. And then there was like some people who like backlashed about it. And yes, I do read your guys' comments. Sometimes I will block you if you don't say the right thing because I can do that. And then sometimes I really think about it. I'm like, I never saw that perception. And people are like, oh, you can't blame the UFC. I don't physically blame the UFC, but they could do a better job. The NFL has strict rules and guidelines to be a referee, to be a part of it. And I think that even every commission has to now start updating and start saying, hey, look, like, you know, we're going to make stricter rules.
I think that's
$20
exactly
for a fight license. That's why. You know what I mean? How much money are these people making that they're that motivated? You know what I mean? Come on. You know what I mean? They're not making that much money. So why should they really care? And especially when their friends are betting and we look back on that, what I think the betting odds at the end of the Miranda and Macy Barber, it was like negative 1,200.
So let's make sure that the audience really understands here. The UFC does not appoint the judges for these fights. The Athletic Commission appoints these judges. And so that's one of the main problems, right? So what the UFC could do, which it's easy to criticize anyone, but what they could do is put pressure on each Athletic Commission and say, look, we've noticed that the standards for your judging are all over the place. And if you guys don't fix this, we're not coming here. And if we don't come here, then you don't get money. Have a nice day. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, but it's Las Vegas. That's not going to happen.
I hear what you're saying.
It's Las Vegas. That'll never happen. They will come here and that's what sucks. So no matter what happens is there's either going to have to be incentivized like programs for young adults, right? Like as much as you young kids are trying to get into MMA and like, I want to be the fighter, like come be the hero for us, guys. Be the hero and start a judging school that when we look back at fights, we actually see that. And I'm going to use myself as an example because it's the best way to do it, right? Is that when I showcase a sport and I showcase a skill set and I showcase the art of it and I can't use that as a way to win, it's unfair. You know what I mean? And it's discouraging.
You did say that she's supposed to call out the winner. And in fairness, that's what the fuck she did.
Yeah, of course.
She called out you who won her last fight, even though they are going to tally it in the wrong column, right?
Yeah.
She saw that fight. She saw who won that fight. And she sees that you have something that she needs. That number 8 ranking is inside the top 10. And that's like,
I actually think it's more than that.
That's a visual.
Do you know that? I think it's like woman. I think it's like a woman thing. You know what I mean? I think she I really do though. I think it's like in this sport we forget because there's so many chances in like life where like women, like we don't know how to put ourselves in front of the microphone the right way. So like we always use other examples, and I feel like I'm one of her examples. I'm one of those things like she wants to be like. I remember that. I remember the first time I fought, Misha Tate, and I admired her, Gina Carano. Like I admired those girls, so I wanted to be. There were things that I used as an examples of how to be a better of myself in this industry. But now this is the new day and age. You got to be so yourself. Like you got to find a way to stand out in such ways that make you so original that like you don't have anything like the other person. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Like.
So you believe that she's trying to fight that woman she looks up to?
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000%. I remember the first time she asked me like what shoes I was wearing or like complimented me and stuff like that. And do you not remember at Greens and Protein when me and Casey first got here, right? Because I'm a good person, right? And you see somebody who is dealing with it, right? Macy was maybe 20, 21 then.
That sounds right.
And she had went to the UFC PI and ain't nobody talking to her and nobody wanted to hang out with her. And she was sitting at Greens and Protein by herself, waiting for her food. And me, my brother and yourself were sitting there and we invited her to sit with us. You know what I mean? Like, cause that was something that we felt like she was there by herself. Like, let's take her, let's be cool. And I really learned in this industry that it isn't. Like, that's why I always say that, like, I'm very close to the people I'm close with because I know, and that's outside of this industry because I know that they really have my back. This industry is cutthroat. People change teams all the time. People tell secrets all the time. Like, you can never trust that someone actually has your back or wants to be a friend. That is only why the only person I'm friends with and truly in the 125 division that like I actually have a friendship with is Gina Mazzani. And that's like, she's actually a good person. You know what I mean? Like, and I met her when we weren't even in the same weight class, when we were just training on Extreme, and I had surgery and she brought me over a little pink llama. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I know what it's worth. I knew it. I kind of can always tell like when people like, again, like they, like, I think you kind of said it, like your IG, like human, they like you have a crush on her, like you always check on their profile. And I got a couple of those too. You know what I mean? Like they're my IG crushes, but like I am constantly using their page as almost like, oh, well, maybe I could do more of that, or I could do a little less, So like, I think she gets that from me. I do.
And so now she's ready to try to kill the master.
I guess. Isn't that how it's supposed to go though? Like, I mean, it kind of thinks to like something I wanted to ask you about is like the the Danaher crew. Like, you know me, I'm always asking you jiu-jitsu stuff because like I'm so not fully into the jiu-jitsu world, you know, and I'm learning more. Like we trained with Rafael Domingos, my last fight camp, and I'm learning more, you know, all the time in jiu-jitsu and learning actual like true jiu-jitsu and competing more there over the past couple years. But what happened with like the Danaher thing? There was like a big thing with that.
So there's a group of guys who are known as the Danaher Death Squad, who are all trained under a guy named John Danaher, who's a Renzo Gracie black belt, and he was in the Blue Basement in New York City for years and years, right? During COVID, they all moved out of there, moved down to Puerto Rico and started training hard and shit, right? And still competing through COVID. There's also an entity known as Flow Grappling that we're aware of, right? And Flow Grappling's headquarters is in Austin, and they've been putting on events that feature a lot of these Death Squad guys, and they've been going around.
How many of them are like?
Guys.
Is the Death Squad like the Caesar 6? Is that what it was? Right?
It's
like,
kind of like the
It's
Scrap
kind of
Pack.
like that. Like so, I don't know who that is.
The
so,
Scrap
but I'm
Pack
just saying
was
those,
like Nate, Nick.
Okay.
That little clique of like Stockton guys that were all fucking people up. Gil Melendez, all those guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a newer
So
version
they
of that
called
for
them.
jiu-jitsu.
So those guys were there, and then now it's the Death Squad guys.
So now those Death Squad guys.
And how many were there? 5.
There's like
you
the
got
core
Craig.
group, and then there's another group that they call the B team.
No. So stop. I don't want to get that confusing with everybody. Can we just start with the first original? Like, because I think that's the most recognizable name. Craig Jones.
He was not an original.
So he's not in that original
No,
group of
Craig
those.
is from Australia. Craig moved to hang out with them.
Okay, so Danaher.
So Danaher brought up
Gordon
Ryan.
And it seems like these are all the New York guys,
Yeah.
right? These are a bunch of that worked with GSP that like developed, you know,
Yes.
GSP.
These guys all came up in the Blue Basement.
With at Henzo's place, like that area. Okay, so these are all New York guys.
New York, New Jersey guys.
So Gordon Ryan,
Nicky Rod, Eddie Cummings. That's the core group of guys. And then Gary Tonin, right? That's the core group of guys. That's the Death Squad, right? Then Craig Jones was kind of on some like, if you can't beat him, join him shit. He was originally with Lachlan Giles in Australia and was like, you know what? I've been emulating these
those
guys.
group of those guys. So we'll say those group of guys because like, so them and basically it's like the first jiu-jitsu breakup. You know what I mean? Like it's like the first big team breakup in that way. And I condone all those guys because it's always hard to do your own thing in this world before, you know, everyone always, I as a fan and a part of me wanting to be a little inquisitive, I wanted to talk with you about it just because like I'm sure that there's, you know, there's always juice. There's always something that goes on.
That's the most interesting part about it is that right now they're not really leaking any of the juice, which makes it seem like maybe they really are.
But one guy is really
leaving.
leaving.
They're leaving.
They're leaving.
People are
So
leaving.
leaving. So that means all the guys are literally going, someone's staying in Puerto Rico. Because I know they posted all this crazy stuff.
So
I know that was like big news.
all that's known for sure is that Gordon Ryan's going to open an academy in Austin in the coming months. Whether or not someone's going to stay in Puerto Rico, unknown. Whether or not who's going with who, no one has named names on their post. They're just saying like, oh, we're all splitting up. We're all friends. We wish everyone the best, basically, right? But this is the nature of jiu-jitsu teams, right? This is just the first time there's been a truly high-profile team in the sport. That's what it really is.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just my stuff was flooded with it, and I'm always curious to, you know, see what happens, and it's always sad because, you know, like unfortunately, you know, I was one of those people who, you know, I left Strong Style and it was not a good split, and it's always sad, you know what I mean? And it's always sad to see something so special, you know, find an end. But I hope those guys all the best, and I just it's. Again, big MMA news whenever, like, it's like divorcing, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, everybody,
See, but with MMA, when MMA breakups happen, I think it's different than when these type of jiu-jitsu breakups happen because the MMA breakups usually do feel like truly like breakups. The jiu-jitsu breakups are actually more like expansions.
Right.
So like if you bring up a certain amount of people, they're going to leave you to start their own thing.
It's usually money that causes the biggest issues.
And so then the question
gets upset about it.
Do you let them go and start their own thing without being monetarily involved in it? Do you let them start their own thing, but you are monetarily involved in it? It's like those are the factors. They're going to start their own thing eventually. Like if you teach someone jiu-jitsu and you make them good.
Well, shouldn't you want something like that?
Yes.
Just like anybody. Like I always thought that like as a part of life, like if I'm, personal training has always been something I will always do. Like I'm developing more things on the JessicaEvilEye.com where I can interact with people and do personal training with them from all different areas and being able to do that. But my biggest thing is like, it shouldn't be every day forever. And it's fine. It's like, if you want it to be an everyday thing to help you monitor, that is there too. But you want to see someone really, you want to know when something really listened to you, when something really, heard you, when something really is going to apply all the things that you taught it. Is like when you don't have to say a lot. Like if you have to constantly scream at me about that kind of coaching, like, are you really listening? And to me, the type of person I am and the type of coach I am, the type of like individual, like I'm not going to repeat myself because then that means you don't listen and you don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not going to actually apply the things I'm giving you, then, it's a waste. It's a waste for me and it's a waste for that person. So, let's hope they get it, all figured out for themselves. But God, I feel like there was a lot of MMA news this weekend between Macy Barber, and her call out. Like, I feel like my name's just kind of thrown back out there in the mix of the MMA world, between the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu world really coming alive with things, like Submission Underground and doing things like that, and having Flow Grappling, wanting to bring a platform where people can watch Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and be a part of it. So it's nice to see those guys come back to the U.S. like here, and not that Puerto Rico. I mean, it's not easy to get over to Puerto Rico. You know what I mean?
A lot easier to get to Austin, Texas.
Right. And be able to maximize your ability to get out to new people and help them. So yeah, good luck with them. So there's we'll see what happens with those people. Have you been watching the Olympics?
I've watched a decent amount of the Olympics. You know what's weird? I think it's harder to watch the Olympics now that we don't have like standardized TV, right? Like,
what do you mean?
Could just sit and watch NBC and they would show you the Olympics all day.
Yeah.
And like now you have to like, if you really want to see things, it's very niche. So like,
yeah, not unless you get Hulu.
Hulu's got
Live. Hulu Live, like I actually like it. Like it just like you can watch like that. They basically have that.
A la carte. Like, yeah. Like I want to watch judo.
Well, you could do that too, but they have a live stream. Like NBC, their channel has that, where it's just like if you were turning on the TV, you could watch it like that.
And what are you watching?
I watch basketball. I saw us get spanked by France. But my favorite is always watch gymnastics. The gymnastics is always the coolest. Obviously, Simon being from Ohio, right? You got to support her.
Oh, Simone Biles.
Simone Biles, right? I can never say anything right. Simone Biles, right? She's
so. When we say gymnastics, isn't it funny that we really only mean like women's gymnastics, and we don't mean rhythmic gymnastics ever?
No, and I get that, and I'm with you. That's actually, it's interesting when you say it like that. I think that we should probably be a little bit better about identifying it. Like I did watch men's volleyball, and I was pretty interested. I was like, wow, that was the first time I've ever watched men's Olympic volleyball.
There might be a husband for you on a volleyball team somewhere.
Hey, you never know.
I'm not fucking playing. I'm not playing. Like, there might be a husband for you somewhere on a volleyball team. Some tall, good-looking son of a bitch.
Listen, don't do that to me. We can't even. I feel like I wanted to talk to everybody about this because I know most of you guys follow me on my Twitter at JessicaEvilEye. And this weekend, I had first a couple of things, right? The powers of social media and being able to use a platform like that in a positive way is number one. Did you see that guy? Did I show that video of that guy that went to that lady's Ring doorbell?
I did see this video.
Man, that's crazy. You said someone sent it to you too?
Yeah, a friend of mine who is like he's a pro wrestler, but he lives in Texas, right? Sent me this video because he knows that we live in Vegas. Right. And there was a video where a very disturbed man was on the front porch and he was captured on Ring camera. And I believe we have a little clip of that.
Yeah.
Are you absolutely certain? Sure. So who are you? What? Yeah? Are you sure? Who are you? Yeah,
just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about making sure. Yeah, can you hear me? What I'm looking for is for the girl that's in the house to come out here because I'm going to rape her and kill her.
All right, that's enough.
Oh my God. And it even goes like all the way before that because he kept saying like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? So just to give some backstory on it, the lady, it's here in Las Vegas, and obviously there's a lot going on in Las Vegas. Obviously, if you've been down to the downtown area, I mean, the homeless issue has continuously grown. It's constantly something that we're constantly dealing with. So the guy was saying on the beginning part of the video, he just randomly shows up, starts ringing her doorbell and saying to her, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And she was never even saying anything back to him.
This is clearly just a psychotic person.
Well, yeah.
Now, what's interesting to me about this, because the first thing that I thought when I saw the video was, have they found this fucking guy yet?
And they didn't. Thank God for social media and for people coming together and saying, hey, look, we got to find this guy. Like, we got to figure him out. I think they found him just like wandering around. I haven't been able to find any updates yet on whether or not the guy, had been locked up for any, longer time. But I think that, just the thought alone, like of some of these things that happen, thank God for Ring cameras and the powers of social media to find people. To like stop these things from happening. Clearly that guy is not in the right state of mind. Clearly he's got problems, right? We need to get him off the street as soon as we can. And I think this is one of those situations again where if you follow me on my Twitter, I posted recently, there's just been somebody, and I'm sure he'll probably follow me. If you're following me now on YouTube, you can stop. If you could stop now. But for multiple months, they have been trying to act like somebody from like either the one time he's acting like clearly in this one, he's acting like Cowboy Cerrone. So I have a video or a picture of the text message that happened this weekend of the same human being, because I let's not be stereotypical. I won't call him a guy, technically no, but this human being has constantly for multiple months acting like somebody different all the time, right? So constantly acting like someone either I know, or they'll try to entice me through conversations of being like, hey, I lost my phone number. So here's one of them right now I posted on my Twitter. Actually, no, here's an old one. This is perfect. This is when they tried to act like Cody Garbrandt, right? This is when he tried to literally act like Cody Garbrandt. And you know what's even funnier about it? On this one, I laugh because like that is the oldest picture of Cody. Like, did you take it with your flip phone? What are you doing, dude? Like, I want to be like.
He took a shitty picture of Cody looking somewhere else, cropped out everything that was relevant around it, and acted like someone took that picture of themselves to show to someone else. Like, that picture would be the worst selfie any good-looking motherfucker has ever taken of themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so it's
no one's ever done that. No one's ever taken a picture like that of themselves and sent it to someone else. But many catfish have attempted to do things like this, right? So that idea of the Ring camera capture going viral, everybody seeing that video. So many people seeing that video that actions are taken.
Well, they can find that guy. They can find who that guy was.
Is this why you are posting that number on Twitter? You were like, wait a second. If it works to catch that motherfucker, we're going to play to catch a bitch. We're going to catch this bitch.
I wanted just like him to how he whoever he. I don't know why I've gendered him to a he.
It's a he.
But
let's not play games here.
It's literally the point where I'm like, you message me all the time, like you always try to do this. It's been multiple phone numbers, and here is the other one that I have most recently. And I finally this has not been the only time that I've said, hey, I'm going to go to the police. Hey, I'm going to go like this one. I finally went to Twitter and I posted this out this Saturday. And again, like you can see where I say in there, God, what do I say to the guy?
Do we know if any of your fans have started hitting like,
no, a couple of them did. They screenshotted like someone put like pussy, you know what I mean, on one guy. You know what I mean?
Is he responding to them?
No, of course not. I guarantee. Well, you could tell if you see like on that message, he was like, "Wow, okay." Like, "Wow, okay, what?" Like stop. Like, you know that you are Albuquerque. I don't have any friends in Albuquerque. I have none. I have zero. Like, the only human being is Cowboy Cerrone, who trains there. You know what I mean? Like, I have never I have never trained there. I've never done that. Like, clearly that's not Cowboy. You know what I mean?
Funny.
Like, why are you trying to act like that? And then, like, the other one acting like Cody. Like, the one originally, the Cody message, because I was pissed off at Southwest because they made us stay on the plane for an hour with my mask on, and they weren't telling us why we were on there. And I was like, hey, can we just get an update? And something I'd said on Southwest. So the person follows me on Twitter. That's why I went to Twitter, right? Because every time I bitch on Twitter, that person, whoever it is making multiple different he'll start messaging me about that and act like he's someone. Because I had tweeted Cody and I was like, Cody, I'm sorry Southwest did you that way. And then all of a sudden I get a text, Jess, hey man, thanks for coming to my back. This is my new number. And I'm like, Cody's like me, man. He still rocks, our 330. You know what I mean? Like, we're still 330 numbers. We're still, Ohio. So then the guy, it might remind you, this has happened multiple times. It's been multiple people. Like, again, the girl one was like, hey girl. The one time was like, as a female trying to get me to entice, where they were like, hey girl, you never guess who I ran into. You know what I mean? Like, it's been multiple, and I usually just block him. Every once in a while whoever this person catches me at the right time. And
not being famous is fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, but you know what the craziest thing is you know how many forensic file things we've watched that these are normal people? You know what I mean? So, like, brings me to that, like, that you even saying that, like, to not be famous. Like, someone was like on my Twitter, like, and I'm going to be 100%, I'm usually a victim shamer, and it's not a good quality. It's a terrible quality in me, but most times, like, I want to, like, the investigator in me wants to find out. Like, I'm a problem solver. I'm like, I want to find out what's going on.
What were you doing? Why didn't you call me?
Yes, exactly. Like, I want to know the details. Like, give me the rundown. So for me, like, then the guy goes on my Twitter, and of course I usually read it, and then I just end up blocking him. So again, like, if someone acts like a douchebag and basically tells me I deserve this kind of treatment, anybody who tells me I deserve whatever this human keeps doing, and I've said it multiple times to whoever this person is, like, if this is the way you want my attention, this is not the way to go about it. Like, we can have a conversation. We can even meet. Like, if you tell me who you are, stop acting like behind these other people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the worst thing ever. Like, you don't need to get my attention. Clearly, I'm reading the messages. Clearly, like, my OCD can't handle a message not being read. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing it. Like, just talk to me. Like, yes, it's my number. Good job. Way to figure it out. Right? Like,
you're a super sleuth. The greatest investigator of all time. You found the phone number of an internet fighter lady. And now
people found my number, just like we talked about on the last podcast. I do not recommend any human being to ever uninvitingly come at me in a negative way. I am, I'm built to protect myself. So, at any cost, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to protect myself. So, you can address me in a friendly manner, and you'll get a friendly person. If you address me in a non-friendly manner, I can't say who I know that I'll be, because, I might bite.
You're like, look, all bets are off.
I might bite. I really might. So, I went to Twitter to share with people, but again, to go back to the guy basically telling me, like, hey, you have an OnlyFans, what do you expect? And I'm like, no, OnlyFans is for where they can talk to me and we can have an agreement.
Well, that's a broken idea. So that idea is broken, because saying you have an OnlyFans, what do you expect, is basically saying you've opened yourself up by putting yourself in a place where other people are sexualized and where you are sexualized. However, that's really a small number of people who are even involved in the OnlyFans, right?
Right.
So, like, well, if the same motherfucker that says, like, well, you have an OnlyFans, what did you expect? It's like, well, bitch, you have a Facebook, what do you expect? You have an Instagram, what do you expect? You have there was a phone book back in the day with everybody's fucking phone number in it. Should everyone expect to be harassed Like, is that how it works? Like, if you have a way of being contacted to other people, does that mean that now it's open season on you? What
means
the fuck
it doesn't matter.
Expect?
You get to treat me however you want. You get to do whatever you want.
What I expect is that I will be treated with respect when I act. Like when I'm public. I expect that if you see me, that you'll treat me like a human. That's what I expect.
It's crazy because we glorify blue check marks, and you and I have talked about this, how I you know me, like I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I do believe our world is starting to become more Scientologists, and this is a whole nother conversation. I'll dive into it right now because people are valuing people based upon how much money they have. You're like, oh, he's got a blue check mark. He made $1 billion this year. He's a great human being. No, that just means he made $1 billion. So if we're saying that somebody makes a lot of money means that they're a good person first, come on. Like, I'm not even going to go there today. I'm not even going to go on that.
But that's like worshiping these blue checks.
But that's what
don't
happens to me.
Don't perceive these blue checks for what they really are.
But that's a problem is that most people perceive me. They're like, all right, either like they're testing the waters. You know what I mean? And I literally want to be like, do not test the water in that way because I am built to protect myself. And if you come at me when you act like you're a liar, the last thing you do is lie. Don't lie. Like, we don't got to lie. We don't got to be those kinds of people. Like, if you want my attention or you want something, that's not it. So again, thinking that just because I'm a blue check mark, that I'm deserving of treatments or any of that is not true. If you want to look at me, my blue check mark, and you go, wow, this woman's a really good person. You know, like, I want to treat her well, right? I want to be that way. Like, right? We can do that, right? But base it upon my integrity as a person, my character, not my, you know what I mean? Like, don't just be like, oh, well, they made $1 million, so they must be a great human being. I know 1 million people that do not make $1 million and who are probably genuinely good people and could even be better than some of the people that we idolize just because they, you know, did something or had a blue check mark. You know what I mean? Or made a movie once and played a character. You know what I mean? And outside of that, they're doing crazy things to people, or they're robbers, or they're drug addicts, or they're, you know, these things. So it's like a part of me is like, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll find a way to dive into that. I think that the biggest thing right now is people thinking that it's okay that you can treat people this way, but the fact that there are more people out there like that Ring doorbell guy. There are more people out there for like this gentleman or whoever it is messaging me. There's more of that out there, but there's more social media power where we can come together and help people. So I feel less endangered now that I've shared it. Yeah. To be honest. Like, I
understand.
I feel like, how could somebody like do anything to me now? Because that's out there. You know what I mean? Now that they know, and if something did happen, people would be made aware of it. I can't make, someone was like, oh, that's what police reports are made for. Hey guys, I can't make a police report on an app number, right? Like, I can't, they're not gonna do anything about it. I could go file a complaint and put it down in writing, but that's still not going to do anything for the sake of doing it, right? Like, you have like history behind it, but I have that. I have an old file of all these numbers and all these different apps that I had to look up.
It is more likely that the internet backlash against a person will be stronger than something that the legal system can do at the current time. Like, unless somebody snatches you up or shows up in person, the cops aren't going to do a goddamn thing. So like, they can advise you all they want. Like, well, you can go through the process of filing a police report, ma'am. But that's all you'll have done is like spend some time writing down a note, right? But if you say, hey, I've been getting messages from the following number, and those messages feel unwarranted. Thank you, fans.
I think that's, you know, I think it's crazy because to think about it is like, these people, there's some genuinely good people. And I want my followers to know, like, where people will be like, I read the comments. I do. I know that people sometimes will tell me to get off them. I know it is. And you know me, you lived with me for 2.5 years. You've seen me stomp around the house being like, dang. And then you've seen me other times where you're like, I'm so proud of her. She didn't even care. And I'm growing into that. You know what I mean? Like, recently someone dropped in my DM and was like, you're dumb. And I'm like, well, you're dumb too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to really respond back to it.
You are really dumb.
But I don't know, like, how, even in general, like, how people will say, like, I have thicker skin these days because of it. But I do read the comments, and I do appreciate all the good people out there. You are why I want to do my podcast. You are why I want to even share my life. You're even why I want to, like, be a part of it, because there are so many good people out there. And again, when we start to alienate these assholes, we can now start finding ways in social media to use it in a positive way. And I used to use social media in a positive way, and I won't let other people ruin that. So I won't let guys, you know, like the app guy, I won't let my fear for being a female in life and worrying about the ring guy, because social media will at least help me, and I can use that in a positive way, and I'll keep growing my relationship with them, you know, in those ways.
I understand how those ideas are connected in your head too. Like,
and I feel like that's important, and it gives people voice to speak out when they're going through something bad. You know, it's always hard to be like, oh, I'm going through something. You know what I mean? Or, you know, if something bad happened, you know, we're in a day and age where we're finding some skeletons come out of a lot of people's closets, a lot of things. Like, I mean, it could even go as far as the cheating with the Russian Olympic years ago to, you know, to some of the backstory behind, you know, what happened to some of those young gymnasts in the early years. I think now we're starting to find people who find the courage right away when something bad happens to come right out, right? Like, that woman posted that out, and it was in a couple hours that gentleman was picked up. So the power of social media has some positivity, and let's keep using it in that way.
Let's also use social media to take a moment to think about what they've done to our home, Jess.
Oh, yeah?
While we were in the desert, Jess, while we were in the desert doing fight stuff, they took something that was something, and they changed it. They changed it to something terrible,
What?
Jess. Do you know?
I'm confused. What happened?
When we left Ohio, there was a baseball team known as the Cleveland Indians. That team is no longer known as the Indians.
Oh my God. Woohoo! Our Chief Wahoo!
That team is now known as the Guardians.
Oh no.
And
Doesn't it look like the Major League
that's
logo?
the new logo.
Kinda? I wish we had a picture of the major. Isn't that kind of like the Major League? Where
Didn't
like
they just use
glasses?
Wahoo? Oh, with the glasses on the Wahoo?
Glasses on the Wahoo with wasn't there lightning bolts?
You got to show me.
I don't know. We're gonna have to
thing.
figure it out. We're gonna have to find it. But wasn't the old logo where they had lightning bolts and? Or no?
I don't know if that was a full logo or not. I've only seen Major League a couple times. What I think is crazy is the reaction, as if like this happened overnight, is crazy. The fact that it's happening at all, I still think is a little crazy, which I know people think that it's wrong to have this name. There's so many people that just think that it's carte blanche wrong. And I think there's a gray area there that like nobody wants to talk about. And like, I'm happy to talk about it. Like I don't get offended by things, right? Like people would say that these people are not to be marginalized and to become a mascot. That's the overall argument, right? Like you can't name a team the Cleveland Indians just like you couldn't name a team the Cleveland Caucasians is the argument that people are going to say.
So where is the argument for the Pittsburgh Pirates and some of these other, leagues that
Pirates
are in
a
there?
race of people. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say pirates aren't a race of people. Being a pirate is a choice. Being an Indian is not a choice. And so you can't make a team.
I mean, in our new culture, I mean, it is.
Well,
in our new
depending on who you
culture,
ask.
but that's what I'm saying. But in our new culture, it says that if I would like to identify as an Indian, I am allowed to. I am allowed to identify as an Indian.
You and Rachel Dolezal can identify however the fuck you guys want.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Like if you want to identify, so it's like why have we picked on our dear Indians so much? And when I actually can say that I think that it changed the most is when the Indians and when the notoriety really started to change, because the Indians were not doing good for many years, but it was when they made it to the World Series and it was there in our new stadium.
That was the
Progressive Field.
resurgence of the argument. And so this is the 90s.
That's when it restarted again, because that's when they started rioting and they started like protesting.
So let's think about that. It's 2021, and in the 90s, people were really mad about this. Like when we were children, people were like actively mad about it. And when we say people, we're talking about a small number of people. Right. A small number of people highly, highly upset over this name, and especially over the character of Chief Wahoo, which is a red-faced entity with very square features and big teeth, right? And they're like, this is a racist caricature. And it's like, but do you know that you don't look like that?
Yeah, well, yeah. So that's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it.
We know that this isn't supposed to be a person. This isn't emulating any human being. It's just, it's hard to acknowledge the fact that the way that people get named, because this is where it really comes down to, in my opinion, the way that people get named, you don't get to name yourself. So like, you don't get to say like, I don't want there to be a Cleveland Indians, but I'm totally cool with the fact that there's an American Indian College Fund. Well, like, is the name naughty or not? Like, like, is it wrong to be called an Indian or not? Is it like, where are the lines? And if there are no lines, which there probably aren't, and there's really just intent, do you believe that the intent was for people to call themselves something racist to make somebody feel shitty about themselves and then profit from it by being a team in a major baseball? Like,
I think it's bullshit. And I know that, it's bullshit. I wanted to go back, and I think that I have an Indians jersey. I was fortunate enough to throw out the pitch at an Indians game once, and I have a custom Indians Jessica I jersey that I love and I will always wear proud. And it was like, it's very nostalgic to me and a lot of the way that I grew up. And I think that's how a lot of us feel, like a generation has been taken from us. And now maybe a new one will be started because now there's no going back. We're no longer going to be the Indians. I mean, we are the Indians. That's how I'll always remember them. But it's not going to be that way anymore. And I'd seen so many people posting recently because it is baseball season back in Ohio at the Indians game and, you know, posting all that I will get to go back there and wear my Indians jersey. And I will support them and their new endeavors because it's an amazing team. And I've been very fortunate to have some kind of camaraderie with them and be able to be a part of that. So I think that's super fun and super cool. But I will be making my trip back very soon. So I will be doing a cross-country trip from Las Vegas to Ohio. And I'm totally not one of those people. I'm not going to spend like 20 hours getting there as fast as I can. But me and my dogs, Diego and Athena, are going to take a trip across country and head back to Cleveland, hang out with the family, hang out, with all my friends. Can I call my family my friends?
Yes.
My family, my friend family, my family. Hang out with them. But I'm really excited to like share some of that trip with everyone, to like get a chance to like see me go across country. I'm kind of excited to do it myself. I'm kind of excited to see like what I get to see and take my time. I've never done anything like that. And I just think that like the pressure of just like not feeling like I have to go right back into a fight camp while I let my forehead heal. I can't take contact for about 5-6 more weeks. Just don't have to worry about it opening back up or any more issues with it. So I'm excited to take that trip across country with the dogs. I'm definitely going to get some cool footage for my OnlyFans and for the podcast so that people can get a chance to like follow along. Maybe I'll try to convince you and Casey to like go along with me.
You're like, and maybe I'll convince you to get in the fucking car.
Right. It'd be fun. I just think it's something I've never done. And obviously I'm just spending my time right now, before I, decide whether or not I go into a next fight camp, whether or not they actually try to ask me to fight Macy Barber, and whether, that is, because we already know, like, I'm always a gamer for fighting. And if they make the opportunity perfect for me, I'm definitely going to take it. So, I think over these next couple of weeks, I'll get a chance to just enjoy myself. Tomorrow is my birthday,
yes.
So I will be 27. I will not be 27. Tomorrow will be the 27th. See, my edibles kicking in now.
I think
that was from us eating it earlier. I'm actually 35 on the 27th. And I'm going to spend some time doing some of the things that I want. I'm going to Cancun on the 6th to the 10th, and then also from the 28th, I think, to the 31st, I'm going to San Diego.
You're like a comedian right now, dropping your dates.
I know, right? I'm going. That's where I'm going.
I'll be at Zany's on the 10th.
Yeah.
Like, find me. Follow me on Instagram.
But yeah, that's actually going to be my first stop after my birthday. I love San Diego. It's always a fun time. I get to go up there and see a very good friend of mine and someone who's been a huge supporter of my career, the Originals. They are cultivators for some amazing marijuana that I absolutely love.
The smile.
So I'm going to be heading up to San Diego.
The smile that hits your face when you say the word marijuana is hilarious. You're like, they cultivate some of the finest marijuana that anyone could find, which is really 100% true.
And we will. And we'll get a chance to talk more about them and spend time with them. And I will showcase who they are. If you aren't already following me on my IG, it is Originals Family Farm. They have a new one in San Diego, but they're originally in LA. A great group of guys that came together to make a really amazing product for people. And I'm super excited to go down there and see their new facility in San Diego and see you, Jimmy. Can't wait. Can't wait to see all my friends. I'm actually going to go stop over and see Little Heathen and see their little heathens over there in Cindy and hang out with some friends and get some really, really good food and, probably, work out, lift a little bit.
Work out a little bit.
It's time. I don't want to get punched in the face quite yet, but I'm ready to start lifting and getting back into like my part and my most biggest passion. And that's, fitness and food. So it's definitely going to be something fun. I'm excited to start doing.
The first thing you do when you turn 35 is drive across the country, right? And then get super swole. And then you'll come back and we'll figure out what's next.
I think that sounds great. I think that's a really great end to another great podcast and super excited that I get to keep sharing my life with everyone. I think we're going to keep getting better at this podcast stuff and sharing more of my life and giving you guys a little bit more update on no more fake news. You hear it straight from my mouth. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you straight and I'll let you know how I see things. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 2. God, can you imagine what we're going to be like from episode 200?
All I do is imagine that.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.